Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. We're going to start walking in the Baitul Salah. Those who want to join us, please. Thank you.
Keep them activated.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Brother Abbas Ismail is going to show us some exercise for about 5 minutes. So whoever wants to join in, please come forward here. Shukran. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. We are starting a very short exercise because of the weather. And the most important of our exercise is breathing. So we start with breathing. You can sit or you can stand. So I'm going very quick, but we start with breathing. You can look at me rather than me talking. Right hand. Come out on the left. I'm not talking, but I'm just going very fast. Now we are starting yoga lesson, but it is just to concentrate and just hear what is around you, what noise, but you just keep your eyes shut, and when I do like that, it's finished. Keeping the stomach inside. This is our eating problem. Now I'm doing again the yoga, the same, to keep quietly, eyes closed, and concentrate what is going around you. And you will hear other noise which usually we we neglect it. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Santa Abbas. Now, may I all request you all please to say Surah Fatiha for the Marmid. Al-Fatiha. I'll now welcome Brother Iqbal here to say from the Holy Quran. Brother Iqbal was a member here about 2 years ago, but he couldn't come here every day. The last 2 years, we really missed his company, so we welcome him today. Please, with Nare Salawat. Allahumma salli.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نون والقلم وما يسطرون ما أنت بنعمة ربك بمجنون وإن لك لأجرا غير ممنون وإنك لعلى خلق عظيم فستبصر وما يبصرون بأيكم المفتون إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين فلا تطع المكذبين ودوا لو تدهنوا فيدهنون ولا تطع كل حلاف مهين هماز مشاء بنميم مناع للخير معتد أثيم عتل بعد ذلك زنيم إن كان ذا مال وبنين إذا تتلى عليه آياتنا قال أساطير الأولين سنسمه على الخرطوم إنا بلوناهم كما بلونا أصحاب الجنة إذ أقسموا ليصرمنها مصبحين ولا يستثنون فطاف عليها طائف من ربك وهم نائمون فأصبحت كالصريم فتنادوا مصبحين أن اغدوا على حرثكم إن كنتم صارمين فانطلقوا وهم يتخافتون أن لا يدخلنها اليوم عليكم مسكين وغدوا على حرد قادرين فلما رأوها قالوا إنا لضالون بل نحن محرومون قال أوسطهم ألم أقل لكم لولا تسبحون قالوا سبحان ربنا إنا كنا ظالمين فأقبل بعضهم على بعض يتلاومون قالوا يا ويلنا إنا كنا طاغين عسى ربنا أن يبدلنا خيرا منها إنا إلى ربنا راغبون كذلك العذاب ولعذاب الآخرة أكبر لو كانوا يعلمون إن للمتقين عند ربهم جنات النعيم أفنجعل المسلمين كالمجرمين ما لكم كيف تحكمون أم لكم كتاب فيه تدرسون إن لكم فيه لما تخيرون أم لكم أيمان علينا بالغة إلى يوم القيامة إن لكم لما تحكمون سلهم أيهم بذلك زعيم أم لهم شركاء فلا يأتوا بشركائهم إن كانوا صادقين يوم يكشف عن ساق ويدعون إلى السجود فلا يستطيعون خاشعة أبصارهم ترهقهم ذلة وقد كانوا يدعون إلى السجود وهم سالمون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد.
Thank you very much, Iqbal Bhai. Thank you. Request Dr. Mustafa to Rahim to come and address us all. Mustafa Bhai.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I'm going to talk about my experience with death after my heart attacks. Sallallahu ala khayri khalqihi wa nuri arshihi sahib taha wa yasin Ahmad Mujtaba Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Summa بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم كتابه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن خلقنا الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. Allah has created death and life that He may try us as to who is the best in deeds. It is my considered opinion from my experiences that the angel of death, Malik al-Maut, is no more than an invigilator in an exams who orders pens down, submit your papers containing description of your life's work. Your life's work is finished. He is not to be feared except by those whose deeds are less than they should be. For those who followed Allah's laws in full, it is a time for celebrating. Phew, the exam has come to an end, and now we can rejoice. So those people who do good and are always considering how to please Allah, they feel very happy when the angel of death comes to them. The day dawned on me uneventfully on a Saturday morning, early November 2021. This is a true story of my heart attacks and what transpired thereafter. If you have any questions, please ask at the end of the lecture. It's early November at Fajr prayers. I had played my wajib Fajr prayers and then suddenly felt very unwell. I had no pains in the chest, no sweating as is typical of heart attacks. There was no sign of a heart attack from the signs described in medicine. But I knew from my age and my race, a silent heart attack is a common event. And we should all be careful about it. It can happen to any of us. However, being asthmatic and I knowing that asthma can also kill, I had described a paper in how to use volumetric to make it equivalent to the NHS unobtainable nebulizer, which I think I presented to this group a long time back. I think it's important to know that asthma is a very common problem. Out of precaution, I used my Ventolin as described in my paper, for which I had won the Update Doctor of the Year award for saving life in acute asthmatics. I used Ventolin as prescribed. I couldn't continue my Sunnah Amaz after Fajr prayers. I went to my bed, tossing from side to side. Asked my wife and son, who had gathered to urgently call the paramedics. My wife gave me 75 milligrams of soluble aspirin. Probably that saved my life. The paramedics arrived soon after. I told them I had no history of high blood pressure, no history of diabetes, no history of heart attacks, no family history of heart attacks, and I had been taking cholesterol-lowering tablets because the cardiologists were taking it. I didn't have problems with cholesterol either. They took a normal ECG. I told them serial ECGs and troponin levels are required to rule out heart attacks. The paramedics don't have the full knowledge of medical, so one has to always be prepared for giving them instructions. They were alarmed enough from my state observed by them to urgently move me to Northwick Park Hospital. I told them I had walked 5 miles the previous day without any problem, no breathlessness, nothing. As I was going down the steps, 2 steps, and I was breathless. The paramedics were very alarmed. They put me in a cardiac monitor in the ambulance, talked to me continuously to keep me awake. I was watching the cardiac monitor as we were about to enter Northwick Park Hospital. I noticed the ST segment depression in lead phase 7. I'm putting these medical facts to try and explain to you what transpired. But if you have any questions, please ask. This in lead V7. I drew attention of the paramedics to it. They told me I shouldn't have been watching it. I reassured them that as I had reached the hospital, I should be okay. I remember the doctors put a cannula to check my troponin levels because that's a definitive way you diagnose heart attacks. There's some enzymes which get elevated in the blood which are called troponins. And so after that, I lost consciousness from Fajr until Asr. I didn't know what was happening to me. However, what had transpired is from the cardiologist's report, which I've got with me, and I can present it if required, and it's all in writing. I recall watching my body below me, with doctors frantically trying to revive me. Then distinctly I heard a sound saying, half molecular veil heparin. As we know, when we are dying, we have Ain al-Yaqeen and Sami al-Yaqeen as well. So this is what happened. When I became conscious after Asr prayers, I felt pain in my knees, which I had not felt before. I presumed I must have been knocking it around in Sakrat al-Maut, in my opinion. I wanted to wee at that time. They offered me a urinal. I refused. I wanted to go to the toilet myself. They were alarmed by my behavior. They were absolutely alarmed by me. The cardiologist registrar came to see me later this evening, and she said I would have an angiogram with probably 2 stents to be put inside to help me with my problem with circulation in the heart. I rang my wife to say I was okay and requested my praying carpet for Zohar and Asr prayers. I prayed standing, to the consternation, means to the worry and disapproval of all the nurses in charge. I remember joking with the staff as I was moved to Ward 6. Ward 6 is where the heart attack patients are treated, and severe heart attacks are treated in Northwick Park Hospital. An emergency angiogram was done on Sunday by Dr. Hassan. She told me that I had severe 3-vessel disease. I told them I would prefer Harefield Hospital for any procedure for my family's convenience to visit. They booked me for operation within 14 days. Echocardiogram demonstrated normal left ventricular function dimensions. In other words, the echocardiogram checks the sound waves going to the heart and bounces back and shows how the left ventricle is working and how much blood is poured out. So, and good systolic ejection fraction. The Harefield cardiac surgeon, Dr. D. Roberts, and the Northwick Park Hospital, including Dr. Hassan, held an emergency conference. They ruled I should have triple vessel graft after leaving the hospital within a week. The Northwick Park Hospital records show what transpired when I was unconscious. I can repeat it to you, but if necessary, I can even give you a photocopy of the letter from Dr. J. Shah, who gave me when I was discharged from Northwick Hospital. He said I had the first attack of heart attack, lasting 10 minutes. And then I had subsequent several episodes until Asr time, until I regained consciousness. I remember on discharge from the hospital, awaiting surgery, there were fireworks. My son said they were celebrating my progress. COVID pandemic delayed my bypass operation. As many staff had been affected by COVID, Dr. Hasiba Ismail, who was allocated as my cardiac surgeon, she's a very, very capable Algerian Muslim from France, and she was superb. She came as a registrar to Harefield Hospital. She promoted within a few weeks to be consultant. She has a whole team under her, and she's doing heart transplants as well. So she was a top surgeon who couldn't be promoted in France because of discrimination of the Muslims. Hasiba Ismail said, it appeared that despite the urgency of my case, it would be laid until after Christmas. On 9th December 2021, my echocardiogram, where the sound waves are passed into the heart, it bounces back and shows how the ventricles are contracting and how much blood is poured out. It looked normal left ventricular function. On 13th December 2021, I was discharged from the Harefield Hospital because they had been flooded by COVID cases. There was nobody who could look after me after the operation. This is Professor Ulrich who came, who was supposed to do my operation. He couldn't do it because they said there's nobody in the ITU to look after you. People were saying these consultants are just after the fame. I told them this is not true. They are concerned about the patients. So we should always respect the consultants. I told him that plain. And this man was a microbiologist who was in the next bed to me. So in conclusion, I say my experiences show, as Hauser teaches us, that the soul feels the pain. In medicine, we are taught that the nucleus in the brain, thalamus, feels the pain. And the knowledge is stored in the temporal lobe, which I've spoken a long time back, but these are big, big words, which I will try and just skim over, but if somebody has questions, I can answer back. Nuclear thalamus feels the pain, and knowledge is stored in the temporal lobe. However, we can combine the two knowledges, that what medical says and what the Hausa teaches us. Because as my professor of anatomy, Professor Richard Wheeler Hayes, told me that there have been theories by some that corpus lucidum, which is the section between the two sections in the brain, stores the soul. So it is very possible. We don't know, nobody knows. But this is what he told me was the theory. And I got distinction in anatomy, and I got the Alexander Galloway Prize for anatomy in my first year of medicine. The Hayfield cardiac surgeon, D. Roberts, at the Northwick Park Hospital of Hayfield Hospital, and the Northwick Hospital cardiologists, including Dr. Hassan, held a conference. They ruled I should have a triple vessel bypass within a week. The Northwick Park Hospital records show what transpired. I remember on discharge from the hospital, awaiting surgery, there were fireworks around. My son said they were celebrating my progress. They were very worried about me because I was off for 5 hours. COVID pandemic delayed my bypass operation, as many staff had been affected. So we should realize when your operation is delayed, you should know the reason for it. Don't keep blaming the doctors or the hospital, because there's a reason for it. If you go into the hospital and get COVID, you will be in trouble. So we should realize and be patient with the doctors and the consultants when they tell us that they can't do it. COVID, my located cardiothoracic surgeon, Dr. Hasiba Ismail, said it appeared, despite the urgency of my case, the operation would be delayed until after Christmas. In conclusion, my experience shows, as Hausa teaches us, the soul feels the pain and the knowledge is stored in the soul. This is what Hausa teaches us, and this is what my experiences has shown, that the knowledge which we have is not stored in the temporal lobe of the brain, as medicine teaches us, but is stored in the soul. That's what Hausa teaches us, and that's what I learned from the Hausa. Despite 5 hours, approximately near death, my memory is as good as before, showing the preeminence of the soul over the body. The body, as we all have been told, has been provided us solely for this world's life to achieve heaven for the soul. In studying medicine, I concentrated on the care of this amanat from Allah, for the body is an amanat from Allah. We should look after. We shouldn't ignore it, because it's an amanat from Allah. After retiring my work as a doctor, I continued my prior theological training by my father, my late father, Sayyid Akhtar Rizvi, Mullah Abdul Rasul, Mullah Asghar Imam Jafar, at the Hausa Ilmiya of London, attached to Mustafa University in Qum, under Professor Shamali. For 5 years, Professor Shamali had been my family doctor. I had been his family doctor the previous 10 years before. Now he is my director and my teacher. We should see how life changes everything. It helped me to understand how the soul develops in this worldly life. Imam Hussein in Dua Arafah says in Arabic words, if I am making mistakes, please correct me for those who know. Ilahi maza wajatta man farqaddaka maza allati faqadda man wajadaka. It means, who has got you has got everything, And who has lost you has lost everything. Everything is destroyed. Hausa taught me, contrary to what medical knowledge teaches us, that knowledge is stored in the temporal lobe of the brain. Knowledge is stored in the soul, as my experience above confirmed. For when my soul, as I believed, re-entered my body, after many hours, my knowledge was intact, which even surprised my Makerere colleague, now in Canada, Dr. KSIMC of when he called me a few days ago to find how I was. Medical concepts of pain are registered in the brain nuclei called the thalamus, while Hausa studies tell us the pain is registered in the soul. And my experience has shown that, because I could feel the pain in my knees after I woke up. While I was having Sakarat al-Maut, I didn't feel any pain in the knees at all. Must be knocking it around. That's why the knees were hurting. The message I have is we should improve predominantly our souls by following Allah's teachings more than the attention we pay to our bodies. For the body starts dying soon after we are born. As medical knowledge tells us, it is the faster turnover of the cells in little children, newborn. Turnover of the cells is every 24 hours. The cells turn over 24 hours. Fractures, injuries, repair far much faster in children more than in adults. A prosthetic biopsy in an 80-year-old man may show cancerous changes which are not malignant because the cells turnover is not as fast in elderly people. So they don't need any treatment, but due to possible slower turnover of the cells. But Hausa taught us the souls continue to develop and grow through our early life. So the soul keeps on growing, the body goes on deteriorating until we die. So this is what my message is. If there's any questions, I'm willing to answer. It was an interesting experience. It woke me up a lot. If you want the copy of the letter from the North Iqbal, I can present it to you as well. I said the first heartache lasted 10 minutes. That's a long time. And then subsequent heart attacks, one after the other, over 5 hours. I was literally dead, and I came back.
So am I right to understand that you did not have any symptoms at all before you heard the...
No symptoms.
No symptoms?
No, sir. I was walking 5 hours. I walked 5 miles back and forth before that.
So what made you realize that there was something wrong after when you were doing your Surah Namaz?
Because after that I knew that from my knowledge of medicine that you can get silent heart attacks in people above a certain age and a certain race, which we are all in that group. So we should watch it. We should be too overconfident, and we should realize it could be something like that.
Yes, Murtaza, please.
Thank you very much for your subject, very interesting subject, and your personal experience. And you have given us a lot of information about your personal life, and that's great for all of us to understand that when heart attack comes, symptoms are there, and we all should learn how to communicate our body with the heart, and we know a lot better ourselves, more than the doctor, how you feel. At that moment, we did the right thing just to contact the NHS and go to the hospital. But the subject you have brought up here, about you being nearly dead for 5 hours, that sort of thing, very fascinating. And I hope they've recorded your messages and your lecture is spread around to all the world. Thank you very much for your lecture.
Thank you. And I didn't have any symptoms of the heart attack. I didn't have any pain, no sweating at all. I just felt unwell, that's all.
I've experienced that. Same situation with me. I was fine, everything fine,
Yeah.
going up and down and walking, no problem at all. When I started feeling breathless after, say, five walks, I knew there was a problem.
Yes.
So immediately I took the
Yes.
aspirin, 4 of them,
Yes.
and I called NHS, went straight to hospital.
Yes.
They checked me. I was only one artery blocked.
Yes.
Put a stent on it. I'm fine.
I think that's very interesting. Thank you.
We have also a brother there, Mohsin there.
Mohsin,
He
yeah.
also experienced a heart attack. And I remember going to see him at the hospital. I think it was Charing Cross, wasn't it? I went to see him there. And he was sitting there after the operation and he said, "Oh, I'm ready to go home now, you know." It's amazing what the doctors have achieved. You know, if it was in Zanzibar in the old days, probably somebody would have passed away. But alhamdulillah, Mohsin is there. He was doing gardening when he met his friend. Is that right, Mohsin?
It's about time we appreciate NHS service.
See?
NHS service, we should appreciate.
Anybody else want to say something?
I'll give you a short story of mine. Regarding heart. I had a problem. It was always feeling pain on right, and then it was on the left, and then left was to the right. So I went to the GP and asked them to look at me and said that, okay, let's see for a few days, is it continuing or not? It was the same thing. Then I said, I said, okay, if you don't know whether it is the heart or why the pain is coming, so he said, I can't give you green bill of health. So that moved me a bit. He said, can we do anything else? I just want to know that I'm fit so that I can continue my usual work. He said, I must send you to the hospital to be checked. And I was checked and I could see the screen and they put ink, some kind of ink inside. I don't know.
Angiogram.
ECG, is
Is it ECG or?
Angiogram.
Angiogram.
Yeah.
Exactly. They checked it, said that your heart is beating properly. Everything is okay. But then I said, why it is paining going from one to they didn't know about it. Then after some time subsided. Then I realized that I was lifting heavy thing all the time. And especially when you are traveling, because you are in hurry and everything, you have to lift two bags. And that I realized that because of the age now, before I used to do it, because of the age and traveling, and that created that problem. Then I told the doctor that this is the thing. He said this is usually as you grow up, you have to lessen the heavy weight lifting. We can't lift as our children can do it. Our children can lift a lot of things. We cannot do it. So that is my part of it. Now I want to ask, what do you advise us to keep ourselves in check for this heart attack, other diseases, and what exercise you feel that we should do so that we can carry on? I know that with your experience, you might tell us some kind of.
Abbas, I thought you would say you ate too much biryani that day. That's why you Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. No problem, yes.
The question is, do you understand?
Yeah, I understood your question. Do you want me to answer that? Yes. Now, the thing is, everybody above a certain age, and we're shedding gradually. Yes. Yes. Mr. Abbas has just said, how can we detect a heart attack when in the best way possible? So, in my experience, you might not have any symptoms, just feeling unwell. I had no pain in the chest, no pain radiating in the neck or to the stomach, no sweating, as is normally in heart attacks. I just was feeling unwell. And I was of that age and of that race where silent heart attacks are common. So it is important for all of us, even with slight feeling unwell, we should always call for medical help. It could be a heart attack, and as it was mine.
And what kind of exercise or anything we can do keep us well?
Yeah. I think the exercises that we are doing at the moment on Tuesdays and Wednesdays are useful because they help us to get the circulation, the blood better. But finally, it's all in God's hands. Finally, all the doctors will tell you this as well. It's all in God's hands. Yes. Can't hear.
Because we can't hear you properly. Some of us are a bit hard of hearing.
Yeah. Same as me.
Well, very many thanks for the nice lecture he gave us, and he enlightened us from his own experience. I want to comment on certain other aspect of what I have about death, which will sound like beside the point, but still I want to raise it up. When a person dies, we say that the soul leaves. Now, when the soul leaves, it is no possibility of re-entering the body, yeah? So if a person is pronounced dead or something, the soul is maybe roaming around 10 days or I don't know, some various stories.
Yes.
But my question is this. This is what I hear. The soul leaves the body in certain parts of the body. Now, No, I've heard from any part. You may not think certain parts. So depending upon the deeds of a person, he may leave from the head, some eyes, from the nose, I've read it, from the ear, or from the feet. So do you have, doctor, any idea where does the soul live? Or whether there is relevance to a person, how a person has lived a life? And some people, when they're dead, the eyes protrude out. Now, it gives food for thought. That's all. Thank you.
You see, when I saw my body below me, I didn't know where it had come out from. I just saw my body below me. I didn't see where it came out from the feet, from the nose, from the head. I just saw my body below me. That's what I saw. I can only relate what I experienced. I can't cook up things that it came from my nose. I can't cook it up. I'll be cooking it up, and that'll be wrong.
I think Makbul wants to ask. Makbul, go ahead. Please, Makbul.
This is really fascinating what Dr. Saab has said, that his own personal experiences of experiencing what we call maut, but not maut in the sense that Allah now is prepared to take your soul completely. We get chances. There's a lot of tradition about it, how the sadaqah, how somebody's du'as, but Allah sometimes sends in a message to us through various people for us to reflect. Now that's one part. when Dr. Saab mentioned the soul leaving the body experience, and we've heard from a lot of people, not only Muslims, but other sects, that they feel this, that there is a light and that they are being drawn towards that light. We've read a lot of things on the internet, stories. Priests have been giving lecture. Now I'm going to give you a short story here which was relayed to me by a very renowned person in our community. I'll take his name because I don't think he would mind. It's a well-known experience that he underwent. All of us know Sayyid Ali Naqvi, Sayyid Muhammad Naqvi's brother, right? We heard that there was a time when he went to Hajj with his group, with his two brothers, and before he left Dar es Salaam, he was unwell. He had pneumonia. But he thought that it was his responsibility to go to Hajj with his two brothers because there was a kafela and that he needed to be part of that team. Having reached Jeddah, his condition became bad. And so bad that his organs nearly stopped working and he went into a coma. Sayyid Muhammad Naqvi and his brother Marhum Hassan were obviously very concerned. They informed the family, and from Dubai and from Dar es Salaam, they came to Jeddah. And being very sort of difficulty in finances, to get admission into the hospital in Saudi was not easy. So Sayyid Ali, now being in a totally unconscious state, was able to go into a hospital. Now there is a renowned surgeon in Saudi who is an expert in the symptoms that Sayyid Ali had undergone, but it was virtually impossible. So Sayyid Muhammad Naqvi now tells me the story, because we are in Hajj together, we are sitting around, that he stood outside this particular surgeon's hospital for 3 days or so continuously, until such time, because nobody was allowed to approach him, there were no appointments, he was an exclusive surgeon for the elite of the Saudis. However, after 3 odd days, he was able to meet him in the car park. He had literally started to stay in the car park, and he approached the surgeon, or the consultant, and the consultant, having heard the story, understood that Muhammad Naqvi was a Sayyid, and he said, okay, bring your brother into my hospital. Subsequently, Sayyid Ali, being totally unconscious, not aware, but the family being around, at one stage, Sayyid Muhammad says that when he went to the hospital, as he goes towards the room of Sayyid Ali, the nurse comes out and says, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And Sayyid Muhammad Naqvi, and he relates this story to me, he did not accept that. He goes into the room that was allocated to them as a family. He went into a sajda and he made an iltija. He recited certain du'as. And he says that he wouldn't accept that the nurse had said these words, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. After doing his sujood, he got up, and as he goes towards his brother's room, his mother and sisters who were there, he sees a man coming out of the room, green turban, and sort of smiles and goes away. Sayyid Ali is not dead. That's all I can say. Sayyid Muhammad says he was not dead, but he was still not conscious. Now the other thing which, now Sayyid Ali, when he and I were sitting in a room in Medina, I asked him, I said, look, this is a very famous incident. I really want to know, because I've heard different stories. I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. And this is what Sayyid Ali tells me. He says, I was taken into the surgery. I was going to be operated. It was not to do with heart, but certain of his organs, which had been affected due to the pneumonia, and the sound, his sound box had completely collapsed. It had gone. So he had to undergo the surgery, and this is the time, he says, that I believe I had passed away. Because I could see everything, I could hear everything, but I was hovering near the ceiling looking down. We've heard this, as I said before. Now, is this a body, soul out of body experience? Or our subconscious? Allahu A'lam knows. But then he said something which one makes a reflection on. That he said, I saw a bright light and I saw a voice calling unto me. But at the same time, he believes it is a dua which was pulling him back. And eventually he says that although my desire was to come towards this bright light, I said that my family are calling me, and I asked, can I come back? And so he became conscious. The length of the illness was about 3 months, and then he had to undergo a second procedure whereby his sound box, his voice, had to be reset, as he said. And while he was there, he told the surgeon, can you please do it in such a way, because I'm a reciter, that I can have enough breath, because obviously his lungs had collapsed because of the pneumonia. And the doctor said, yes, we'll try and sort it out. And that is why when you hear Sayyid Ali reciting Imam Ali's, famous qasida, he's got that power, the strength. And so we listen to the out-of-body experience. Now, is this a mini death? Possible. Is it our subconscious that then replays in our head as to what we saw? Because our subconscious is more stronger than our conscious. So yeah, this is the experience. And if anybody wants to verify, Sayyid Ali is in Birmingham. You can ask him. I think this Saturday his nephew is getting married. Some of you will be going there. Ask him, tell him Musaddiq relate the story, and you can listen from his own version, inshallah. There's another story with Sheikh Jafar Ladar, with his operation. I'm not going to talk about it now because I don't think it's my podium to say that. One last thing, at your request. I have just been asked next week, which will be our last session on the Wednesday seniors until Muharram, for me to be able to address you once again. My topic will be part 2 of the topic of ziyarat. Last time we spoke about the ma'rifah of Karbala, and inshallah next Wednesday, if Allah so gives me the tawfiq, I will talk more about the beauty of the ziyarat and ahkam of ziyarat of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Wassalamu alaikum.
Dr. Sam,
Yeah.
do you want to end your lecture?
Yeah, sure. This is very interesting because it just describes end-of-life experience, and it has been described by Sheikh Bahmanpur in his book, and it is very clear. So I've read his book as well, and I know it, but this, for me, it was a personal experience. What I felt is and what I experienced is what I've parted to you. I can't add to that any more than what I've done.
Thank you so much indeed, Mr.
Asante.
Dr. Saab. I tell you, it was very enlightening, and I think somebody to stand here and speak about his experience is really, really useful to all of us, I'm sure. So let's say salawat for our Dr. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa
And
ala
plus
Muhammad.
knowledge and pain is felt by the soul. This is what the Hausa teaches us. Medicine, medical knowledge says otherwise. But I've now learnt that this is really what happened to me.
Thank you So much indeed.
Ahsan.
We have a visitor here from Dar es Salaam, Mr. Dala. He is. We are trying to coax him to find out a way that we can go to Dar es Salaam, and he arranges our stay there. So I think we will try and bribe him a bit. اللهم صل على محمد وآل
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. My name is not Dala. Dala is my in-laws. My name is Fazle Abbas Dhirani. But I was just trying to, when I met people here, it was so, by the way, I will not be as interesting as Dr. Saab here. He made a very nice presentation, mashallah, and gave us a beautiful insight. But when I met people here, at the door there, somebody was from Mwanza. And I had a connection in Mwanza. I said, do you know this person? He said, yes. So if you look at myself, my father's name is Akbar Ali Fazal Dhirani. He is from Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. My father-in-law is Yusuf Dala. People know him by Bob Dala. So I have got a connection there. Azad Bhai Dala, Murtaza Bhai Dala. They are connected to me. My Nana Bapa is from Mombasa. Rajab Ali Suleiman Kaku, the Suleiman Kaku family. So I was just talking to somebody in the back there. And he says Miral Daya and all that, Miral, right? So they know each other. And what I was finding was, we are all so much interconnected, mashallah, that it gives us pride when you go to any new city. And I don't know, I mean, when I came with somebody, and I already found so many people who know us, or my family. This is the beauty of our community. And I'm so proud to be part of this community, whether it's Dar es Salaam, whether it's Dubai, whether it's London, or anywhere else. Anyway, I'll just give a small background of myself. I was born in Mombasa because my mother is from Kenya. Being firstborn, I was born there. Then I was brought to Tanzania. I grew up in Tanzania, educated up to class 6. And then I was moved to Pakistan. When you remember, there was nationalization in 1971 in Dar es Salaam, in Tanzania. So we moved to Pakistan. I did my metric, up to metric I did there. And then again, Ziaullah came in and he messed up Pakistan, and we went to India for studies. So I went to India and I completed my engineering. I am a civil engineer by profession. I did from India. And then, of course, finishing there, I went back to the roots, Dar es Salaam. So, again, because of my stay everywhere, I can find Raza Bhai there. He knows me because I am from Pakistan. Mahmood, your current chairman, Siptain, your Mukhi, I think, Bashir. They all know me because you are from Pakistan. I am doing my business in Dar es Salaam, which is property management and maintenance, or facilities management. And Alhamdulillah, we are fine at the moment after the last upheaval of the last 5 years, where we had a very crazy president with us. But anyway, he's gone, and this new lady has been doing pretty good. In terms of my own social services, I have given my services to medical in the CHB in Africa Federation, education, Central Board of Education there for about 7 years. In Tabligh, at Central Bilal Board, I was 5 years, and then welfare and economic upliftment for about 5 years. However, I would say my biggest achievement, which I am always very satisfied about until now, is my association with blood donation. I've been with the blood donation for about 30 years now. In Dar es Salaam, we don't have the organized system that you have here. When a patient gets sick, you have to find the blood yourself. So you'll bring in the donors, they have to donate, and then they give the blood. So now to get those donors, and especially for the Africans, they have that kasumba, that if you give blood, then we'll fall sick. Or if you give blood, then we have to give it regularly, so we don't want to give it. Or because of their behavioral patterns, they know what they do, so they are scared. Because once you go for the test, we'll be caught with the wrong disease. So they're always reluctant to give blood. And our community, mashallah, is the biggest donor, and we are holding a database of about 3,000 donors in our list, private, where when there's a call coming in from any hospital, we send the donors live, they go and donate. Of course, now they're trying to improve the system, but it is still not up to the mark. So that is where I'm really proud about, because 30 years is not a short period. Anyway, coming to the relevance of today's gathering, we also have a senior citizens group in Dar es Salaam Jamaat, and the official version is by the Jamaat is the senior citizens group, and they started off when they started enrolling long time back. They were trying for 65 plus age, but somehow it did not click. So they brought it down to 60 and they brought it down to 55. They brought it down to so much as 50 to get people in. But people in our community are a bit lethargic. So though they have the programs, but they are not very, very active. They do once a program like Bagamoyo, they take somewhere else, so they have some sort of games. They also had computer classes. How I got involved in this one is I had my father's friends. There was a group like Muhammad Dirani, Askar Barwani, Muhammad Panju Jesa, Shiraz Walji, they were all my father's friends. And one day Askar Bhai told me, firstly, bas chalo apne paya khawa jai. 80 shop, those who are in Dar es Salaam will know 80 shop. Ki apne lo paya khawa jai. So program banao na please. Chalo. So I made a program for them, 6, 7, 8 at the time. We went for morning, Sunday morning, and they enjoyed it so much, those payas. They paid for that themselves, I didn't pay for it. But firstly, our program every month banao. Pehla to Asghar bhai, he was so aggressive. Every week banao. Every week, every month banao. So from there it became a private initiative, a personal initiative. There was not under the Jamaat. And from there, we picked up slowly, the oldies. What we try to do is so as not to interfere, with the Jamaat problems. So as not to interfere with that official Jamaat body. We said, okay, we'll take only what I call super seniors, 75 plus. So I call them super seniors. They're not seniors. So we started looking at them, and we were trying to look at those who were alone. Probably the spouse has died, staying alone, or handicapped slightly with sticks or wheelchair. They are very, very lonely in Dar es Salaam. The children are there, but people are busy. Everybody is busy. Now the old man is staying at home. Fortunately, Dar es Salaam mosque is very close, so they can somehow manage. But COVID has messed it up. They were all locked up, and you could see them, going into mental health issues and depression. So when you bring them like this, wow. Because what do they talk? Tane yaad chhe apne Chungani ma football ramta tha. Tane yaad chhe apne volleyball ramta tha ali jagah upar. And all those talks, these nostalgic things really made them come back. I know one person who had a stroke, and he was my father's friend, so he suddenly disappeared. One day I remember I said, "Aap ze kya chhe?" So I called him. He said, "Yeah, first time stroke." I said, "Can you walk?" "Yeah." "Hello, apne jao tam lei jais." "Kya laun chhe apne?" "Tamne kya lei jao chhe?" "Ame Australia janu program kare chhe, bada wazir lei jasu. Tya apne khasu tya now Australia has got a small mosque in Australia. Apne tya namaz padsu, khawanu khasu." And of course, we all know, and that's why the biggest problem the wazirs have, toilets. So I said, "Don't worry, we'll arrange that." So before leaving the mosque, toilet. Reaching the first stop, toilet. We used to make sure that they are comfortable. So we went there, and we were holding his hands, and fine, everything went very well. He went back home. Couple of gatherings went on, and then one day I called, and auntie picked up. "Fatma auntie, Shyam uncle, ha suta chhe." Go basu pachi phone kris. Tome mane mar se baat karo. Because we have only gents there, our ladies are judo hoish. I said, "Na Fatma auntie, man tamar se baat karo, man Tommy uncle se baat kari chhe." To mane ke ha mane khabar chhe. Tu e lokane lei jai, samne nahi lei jai. The joke. Pachi mane ke firstly, I really thank you. Came suche. Since you have started taking Mze, he has come back. He was so depressed. He is looking for her. Aaj tu phone કરે છે ને ક્યારે પ્રોગ્રામ છે તમારો 4 દિવસ પછી હવે 4 દિવસ સુધી આપણે સાંભળવું પડશે કરવા મને જવાનું છે મને જવાનું છે મને જવાનું છે મને જવાનું છે પછી તમે લોકો પ્રોગ્રામ પતાવીને આવશો અઠવાડિયા સુધી પછી સાંભળવાનું અમે આમ કર્યા અમે ત્યાં ગયા હતા અમે અહીંયા ગયા હતા અમે આમ ખાધા અમે આમ કર્યા. So he says it is so enjoying and we are so happy. So please ચાલુ રાખજો. So we are trying, at least this super seniors group, we try once a month. We've taken them to different places. You see, Dar es Salaam is expanding very fast. Those who have been to Dar es Salaam will remember Magomeni was supposed to be an African area. Aaj તમે ત્યાં જાઓ, you won't believe it. એવી મોટી મોટી બિલ્ડિંગો છે, African is still polished now. Manzese, roads are bad. University is very close now. The university ક્યાં હતી એક જમાનામાં કહેતા હતા આપણે. It's very close. So now Dar es Salaam, હવે આ ચીજ ये लोग का क्या रहे? We are moving around somewhere. Even our people don't, our youngsters don't see it. So when we took them to this new bus stop called Basie Lewis. 4 lanes one way, 4 lanes the other way. Europe in Dar es Salaam. So when we took them, they started looking around. We took them once to the 21st floor. There's a revolving restaurant there. So we organized them, and then these people, they just went there, and instead of sitting and snacks, but they're bari pass. To Dar es Salaam puro dekhai chiye to. You know, they're so happy. That's the thing. And that is one of the best things, I'm sure Dr. Sahib will vouch. Keep a person happy and he is well. Dawa to badi hoy barabar chhe. But to keep yourself happy makes a lot of difference. So we take them out like that, you know, and then our programs are generally 3 hours to 4 hours maximum. Because they cannot tolerate that. You know, you can imagine. Our senior most person, I don't know what is the record here, at the moment is 94 years old. He is the senior most, you know, in Dar es Salaam, I think. And there are 3 of them, if you know some people. One is Hussein Bhai Daya from Moshi, he is there, you know, Chokro Gujri Gyamna. Then there is Shabir Khatao, Zanzibari, Shabir Khatao, the father, Hassan Ali Khatao, if people know him. And third one is Anwar Melal Bhai. Then that sequence. They are all 94, but maybe by no Farach. So we are keeping their birthday record also. So, you know, just to, sometimes, then, you know, in Amur, cake on the day we go, you can imagine all of you singing here, happy birthday to, just imagine. So, you know, it's very much fun there. So, this is generally what we do in Dar es Salaam with this private group. Senior group, that is a different one that they do themselves. But it is quite interesting, and it's very satisfying. That is what I found. I am also over 60 now, but it's very satisfying when we are able to hold your hand, especially the person who cannot walk or push your wheelchair. It is so satisfying. I could not serve my father. My father came to Dar es Salaam and he immediately expired within 24 hours. So I could never serve my father. And my mother died in Karachi with my brother. So I have not served my parents as such. But when I'm doing this one, it is really a difference. Of course, I repeat, we are not as organized as you are. I can see here, because I heard it last time I was, I just had a lunch and I went away. But this time they told me, I met Mumtaz Bhai, Mumtaz Qasim. He called me in Dar es Salaam. Our program, please attend. And then Murtaza Bhai called me. Okay, fine, hello. I don't know what I'm going to do there, I don't know. But what I'm seeing here, it is so nice, and I think this is something fantastic. And London is, I'm sure, a different ball game altogether. Please keep this up. This is a fantastic thing you people are doing. And of course, finally, before I close, our group, when we had this group, as I said, I'll give you some names, those who remember. Askar Bhai Barwani, Muhammad Bhai Dhirani, he was also part of it. Ghulam Bas Bhai Darsi, okay, Dr. Jafar Darsi, the father. Muhammad Taqi Bhai Rajwani, I'm sure some people know him. Muhammad Taqi Bhai Dhanani, Hassan Ali Bhai Jafar, Vice Chairman and Secretary Anwar Bhai Karmali. All these people have left us. So can we all recite Surah Fatiha for these people, marhumin, all our marhumin, London, Dar es Salaam, wherever in the world, and then thank you very much.
Thank you. Send this on, thank you. Now, Iqbal Bhai to say Yasin for us. Yeah, you've got time, Yasin, yeah. Hopefully we'll wind you up a bit.
Yes.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم. تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباءهم فهم غافلون. لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون. إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون. وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إن نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم 2 فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذن لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعدهم من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كما أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشاء نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم انفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إن نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أن خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم الفاتحة صراط
last year, if you remember, we had some scarves that we gave away, and it was due to this gentleman here, Iqbal Bhai. He donated some of the scarves, and it was brought in by if I don't write it down, I forget. Makbul Bhai Jafar, he brought them in, and we thank him for those scarves. Iqbal Bhai, thank you for those scarves. We've got some time. We're going to have a group photograph taken there. If everybody could stand up there, and we'll take a group photograph. Sorry, Makbul. When I don't write it down, I keep forgetting.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين السلام عليك يا أسل المجتبى. السلام عليك يا حسين الشهيد بكربلاء. السلام عليك يا علي بن الحسين زين العابدين. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي الباقر النبيين. السلام عليك يا جعفر بن محمد الصادق. السلام عليك يا موسى بن جعفر الكاظم. السلام عليك يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي التقي والجواد. السلام عليك يا علي بن محمد الهادي النكي. السلام عليك يا أسد بن علي الزكي العسكري. السلام عليك يا حجة الله بن الحسن يا صاحب اليأس والزمان. السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. عجل الله فرجه وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Huyo atachukua